In the United States, CPS makes upwards of $3 billion per day on trafficking and selling our children. The corruption may start with the caseworker, but goes through the judicial system, passing the governor through the Senate and into the White House. The entire system has a hand in the business known as CPS.
Our children are stolen every minute of a 24-hour day. They are being robbed of their innocence, their trust, their happiness. As parents, we are isolated and betrayed by a government we trust. States are balancing budgets on kids' lives. Only 12% of the kids taken will be reunified. Title IV funding is being riveted with fraud.
We need to stop CPS and abolish CPS.com is leading the way. Join us.
Nancy? Oh, there you are. Yes, Nancy is a longtime Eagle Forum member and leader. She has had an organization called Family Concerns, which was very effective all over the state of Georgia, and another one called Family Concerns Pregnancy Center. She has been in the Georgia State Senate for several terms and is a member of 6 Senate committees. Please welcome our good friend, Senator Nancy Schaefer.
Thank you, dear Phyllis, and thank you to all of you. I have served in the Georgia State Senate for 4 years. One of my greatest pleasures, other than my sonogram bill, was getting the resolution passed to stop the North American Union. However, for 4 years, I have been confronted with families struggling to remove their children from the clutches of Child Protective Services. I wrote a scathing report last year on the corruption in Child Protective Services, and an update and copies are out on the table. During the last session of the Georgia General Assembly, I introduced Senate Bill 415 relating to juvenile proceedings, and copies of that bill are attached to the report on the tables. The Bill 415 called for the time allotted for the Department of Human Resources to provide emergency care to a child without a court order to be reduced from 7 days to 72 hours. It required a court order to enter the residence of a parent or guardian to seize a child. It called for family court to be open to the public. Confidentiality and secrecy in family court protects the wrong people. It provided that immunity in the system shall not extend to the seizures of children that are found to be in violation, nor to the administration of medication to a child over the objection of the parent or custodian, and it provided the state from applying for obtaining, receiving, or accepting adoption incentive payments under the Federal Adoption and Safe Families Act of 1997. The Department of Child Protective Services has become a protected empire built on taking children and separating families. This is not to say that there are not those children who do need to be removed from wretched situations and need protection. However, my report is concerned with the children and parents caught up in legal kidnapping. Having worked with probably 300 cases statewide and hundreds across the country, and in nearly every state, I am convinced there is no accountability in Child Protective Services. I have come to several conclusions. 2 or 3 are: 1, that poor parents, not always, but oftentimes, are targeted to lose their children because they do not have the wherewithal to hire an attorney and fight the system. that caseworkers and social workers are very often guilty of fraud. They withhold and destroy evidence. They fabricate evidence, and they seek to terminate parental rights unnecessarily. That the separation of families and the snatching of children is growing as the business grows because state and local governments have grown accustomed to having these taxpayer dollars to balance their ever-growing budgets. That the bureaucracy is huge. Look at who is getting paid. State employees, attorneys, court investigators, guardian ad litems, court personnel and judges. There are psychologists, therapists, psychiatrists, counselors, foster parents, adoptive parents, and on and on. All are looking to the children in state custody to provide job security. That the Adoption and the Safe Families Act, set in motion first in 1974 by Walter Mondale and later in 1997 by President Bill Clinton, offered cash bonuses to the states for every child they adopted out of foster care. In order to receive the adoption incentive bonuses, local child protective services would need more children. They must have merchandise that sells, and they must have plenty so the buyer can choose. Some counties often offer $4,000 to $6,000 bonus for each child adopted out to strangers, and an additional $2,000 for a special needs child. Employees work to keep the federal dollars flowing. But that is only the beginning figure in the formula in which each bonus is multiplied by the percentage that the state has managed to exceed its baseline adoption number. Therefore, states and local communities work hard to reach their goals for increased numbers of adoptions for children in foster care. As you can see, this program is offered from the very top and is run by Health and Human Resources. This is why victims in Child Protective Services get no help from their legislators. It explains why my bill, Senate 415, suffered such defeat in the Judicial Committee, and why I was cut off at every juncture, and why I was defeated myself last month for my re-election by another Republican. That tax dollars are being used to keep this gigantic system afloat. Many grandparents have called me to get custody of their grandparents before being lost in the system. Grandparents who lose their grandchildren to strangers have lost their own flesh and blood. The children lose their family heritage, and grandparents, and parents too, lose the connection of their heirs. And that the National Center on Child Abuse and Neglect in 1998 reported that 6 times more children died in foster care than in the general public, and that once removed to official safety, these children are far more likely to suffer abuse, including sexual molestation, than in the general population. Think what that number is today, 10 years later. Here are a couple of the recommendations on my list. Call for an independent audit of all state child protective services and for a federal congressional hearing on child protective services. Abolish the federal and state financial incentives that have turned child protective services into a business that separates families for money. I have witnessed such injustice and harm brought to so many families that I am not sure if reform of the system is even possible. The system cannot be trusted, is that we must confront the fraud in child protective services. Child Protective Services seizes children using the very system that is paid for by the taxpayer, who actually believes it is used to protect abused and neglected children. The bureaucracy of workers benefit financially by a system that converts children into cash while destroying their families and their lives. No child who emerges from the system can ever be sound or whole. Many disappear and never are ever heard from again. God will not stand for what is happening to our children and our families. His heart beats for these children. He will lift up the downtrodden. What is happening in America regarding child protective services is a criminal political phenomenon, and it must be brought to an end. Please join me in working to help set our children and our families free. To whom much is given, much is required. As you pray for this nation, pray for the upcoming election, and for our national financial crisis, please pray for our children and for our families. We all must press on and win this race for America. Thank you very much.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of CPS Victims Hunting for Justice. I am your host, CPS Punisher. Tonight, as you just saw, that is Senator Nancy Schaefer, who was brutally murdered with her husband, who they say had a murder-suicide years ago. This was, I believe, 8+ years ago, this last speech that you just heard from Nancy Schaefer. It tells you how far we have not come in this movement, because the same things that Nancy Schaefer was just talking about, we are still talking about in this movement. That being said, I'm going to bring out our guests with us tonight. We have the special guest, Wendy Thomas. And as always, we've got our guest law enforcement guru, Mr. Herbert here. Hey guys, how we doing tonight?
Good.
Good. So what did you think overall, listening to that, what Nancy Schaefer just had to say? How does that make you feel that this movement's gone on? This has been 8+ years ago, that speech was, and where are we today as far as this goes? Like, how do you feel? Like, we're not making any headway here, right?
No, we're
Wendy,
not.
go ahead.
We're not. Yeah, we're not making any headway at all, and it's gotten worse. We've got more missing children than ever right now. It's absolutely ridiculous. And then, now we got the advocates that are getting involved, that get in deep like Nancy did and brings it into the court. And now we got advocates in hiding over it too. And nothing's getting done. Nothing's getting done at all.
No, we have people everywhere that are fighting for this stuff. We have people that have their own little groups in every state. Every family has their own little group, their thing. What we need to do is get everybody together into one spot, because this group is massive. This movement is massive. But no one knows that, because everybody's just doing their individual little thing.
Right. And then they assume that when you get your children taken away from you, you're a bad person and you've been abusing these children. And in reality, we all know that that's not the case. And I totally agree with you. We all need to get into one big group and get off Facebook and get somewhere to where we can all be as a group and come together. Because I always tell them, just like you, if we're plenty, we're mighty. We need a lot of people. We need this out.
Yeah. We can't do anything by ourselves against against a group that has a checkbook that doesn't stop. Against, no one is they're not just going to roll over for everyday American people because they're crying and whining that we lost our kids. The senators, the people in our own government aren't listening to us. They're not responding to any of us. I mean, I bet they have thousands upon millions of pages of documents of parents like me and you, and well, not so much like Herbert, but parents like all of us that have been writing to all of these senators and Congress people, trying to get them to listen and do something, and they do nothing. They just hit ignore, click, buy, it's gone. And that's it.
And the thing of it is, well, no, and the thing of it is, a lot of us can't let this, get this out and get rallies and everything going, because they attack the poverty-stricken families, the ones who can't afford attorney, that are living month to month, day by day, and they don't have the money to get an attorney. To be able to get an attorney for this type of situation, we have to hire a trial attorney, and that is anywhere between $6,000 to $12,000, and that's just a retainer.
Right, and that's just a start, because we know that they're going to put their legs down and they're going to keep your kid for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, 16 months, like they're going to go past that thing. So every time that you do that, your attorney that you're hiring needs to be in a courtroom, and we know how those fees work. It starts from the moment they wake up to the moment they leave. A day at court ends up costing $10,000 for you. And, that's just unaffordable for the people that they're attacking and removing their kids from. It's unaffordable.
And then,
it can't happen.
Right. No, and the taxes that you are paying, for legal aid for us, because that's the first thing everybody tells us. We'll call legal aid. Legal aid is in the pockets of the government and children's
Right.
services. You're paying tax dollars for them to help us, and they're not helping us. New
Yeah.
legislation was just even passed for them to be doing more civil cases, and they're not even applying it. So
Mm,
what I think the American people ought to be doing is start questioning, well, we're paying you these tax dollars. Where is this going and why aren't these cases getting done?
mm. Agreed. Herbert, what about you? You came into this thing and you knew nothing about CPS. You knew nothing about it whatsoever. But what have you learned in this time that you've been here? And what are you seeing that needs to be, in your eyes, changed and done so that we can make some legs grow on this movement?
Well, I'm appalled to see how so many families are being broken up by the system and that no one has picked up the torch
Mm-hmm.
from the speaker before to carry on. I don't hear anyone in government even addressing issues with CPS. Absolutely nothing.
Because they're all in on it.
So,
Well,
yeah,
regardless, no one's doing it. Period. Like you're saying, Herbert.
No.
There's no one really leading the front.
but it's almost as if there's an elephant in the room, but nobody sees the elephant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Nancy tried to do something about it and she got killed. And we know who killed her.
Right, right. And no one has picked up the torch from Nancy to carry on. That's what I don't understand.
Well,
they're
because a
scared.
lot of these, yeah, a lot of these attorneys are losing their license, and the governments will either try to hurt somebody in their family or hurt them. I've got a case right now that is related to Chris Christie, and Chris Christie tried to burn her house down with her in it.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's scary business.
Chris Christie in New Jersey?
hmm I have a very
Wow.
good friend, a very good advocate that I have been working with out that way for 2 years. And her case is related to family on the other, the divorced family has ties to Chris Christie and has ties with the county sheriff, which has ties with Chris Christie. And then that's why they took her kid and then they tried to burn her with her in her house because she wouldn't shut up.
Wow.
It's crazy. These people will stop at nothing to harm and to hurt, because you got to realize that government is actually using these kids to balance budgets in states. These states are realizing that if they just take kids out of your home, put them into, because for instance, why is it when it's a kinship program, are these families required to have foster licensing for their home? Why would you do that for a KIP program, right? That doesn't make any sense. They're not going to a foster home. They're going to a family member's home, right? That's the way it's supposed to be.
It's supposed to
But
be. There's
instead,
a protocol.
right, but it's supposed to be. But now the DHS is making these families get a foster home license for their home. This allows them to stay in the game, allows the states to collect more money off of these things. And they're realizing it. They're putting it into state legislature and they're making it a requirement. And then that's it. And they're just sucking this money up.
Yep.
I mean, why is Title IV funding based all on reunification, but we only have a 12% reunification rate in this country? 12%.
And if you look,
taken.
the reunification, if you look at them statistics, and I bet you I'm right, each year they have to give so many families who are drug addicted the chance to have their children come home. It is a number that is collected by the government every year. So I bet you any amount of money, if we was to look into it, the majority of that would be the drug addicted parents who get the children back.
Oh, because
that's
it's
how
mandatory,
that works.
is what you're saying. So you're saying because
right.
It's mandatory, those are the numbers
Correct.
that are getting back. I
Correct.
see. Okay.
There's so many of African American children that they have to give back a year. We do it in business. When I was working at the restaurant, we're required to hire so many Latinos, so many white people, so many African American people, so many Asian people. We are required as a business to do that. It is, and it's always updated. They always have to know how many people or how many children have come into that. It's mandatory.
I'm going to look into that because that makes a lot of sense. Because I'd be wondering where this. I've yet to see any family that I've come across that has been reunified. I have not met one family yet that has been reunified through the program, not through them. They've gotten their kids back because they fought the system and won, but they've not
Yeah.
finished the reunification steps to get their children back. I have not met
Right.
one.
Yep.
So I mean, I
I
don't know
am
where
letting
that
you
goes.
know, Darren. I am telling you, I've been in. I ran a multi-million-dollar business when I was working, and I'm telling you right now, it is mandatory that so many of each race get hired into a business.
Oh no, I'm well aware of the EOE stuff and all of that, absolutely. But it does
Yep.
make sense too, since this is a government program, that there would be a certain bit of statistics
Yep.
that to keep their funding that they have to return so many just based on race or sex or whatever. That makes total sense to me,
Hmm.
absolutely.
Well, I think you said so. It was 12%.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's
Yep.
12%. That's their numbers. So I took their numbers about the amount of kids that were taken and then about their return rate home. So there's like, I don't know, it was plus word of 450,000 taken into custody and removed from their parents for good. And then the return amount was, whatever the return amount was 12%. And that's how we got that number. That's ridiculous. That's
Mhm.
sickening. So Title IV is based on reunification. If you're not doing reunification,
Mhm.
then you're not getting that money's supposed to be to help rehab families. That's supposed to be to help put families in homes if that's what the problem is. That money's supposed to be helping families with go to work programs. It's supposed to be for drug addiction programs. It's supposed to be for all these things. These people aren't getting better. They're the ones that you're seeing on the tent cities because they've taken their kids now. They've taken their will to live. They stuffed them down into a pipe hole and now they've just been left for dead. That's it. Or maybe
Yep.
the prison system, which they're a part of, will pick them up and put them in there so they can continue the funding. That's what's
You know, in
happening to these
Kings,
people.
in Kingston, they're handing out fentanyl. It's called
Right?
carfenton. Yeah,
Yep.
they're literally keeping them. Yeah, they're keeping them drug induced, and because their statistics. They can take them children. The more people they have on the street that's drug addicted, they can take the children and bring them into the system, get their
Yep.
quotas, and then do what they want to the rest.
I mean, that's no secret alone. I mean, where in the United States do they grow poppy fields? We don't have them here. Who has their own
Yeah,
heroin plants here? Nobody. Who has their own
nobody.
fentanyl plants? Nobody. Only China. So, I mean, we're not going to China and picking this stuff up. I mean, this is based on our own government, their own things with the drugs. That's why they started this whole thing with the whole the DARE programs in the early 80s. That was to allow the families so the children can come into the schools, tell the families where the drugs are, tell the teachers where the drugs are. The police can come now, enter the home, and now
Remove the
they've got this
kids.
whole remove the kids thing. I mean, the
Hmm.
writing's right there, the diagram's right there for everybody to see. It's disgusting and it's real, and it's unfortunate, but that's the way this country has gone to.
I remember that. I remember that because it started when we were in school. And you guys got to remember, I'm from a small town. Everybody drinks and smokes pot. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the amount of kids coming into the classroom. Well, my mom and dad smoke weed and this
Yep.
and that. And then children. I remember that. Yep, it makes
Yep.
sense now. I never knew that was connected until you just said something. And it makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah. Herbert, you were a cop during the start of the anti-drug, the big push on the families with the drugs, right? What changed for you as a police
Oh yeah,
officer?
I used to arrest people just for having seeds in the car.
Right. I mean, and how many was DHS involved back then, or was that more or less you would push the families and like what? Explain the difference between now and when you were a cop when this stuff was happening.
Well, now there's not going to be any arrest on seeds because stuff like marijuana is legal.
Right.
It's just that an individual can't smoke or ingest marijuana in a public arena.
Right.
They could do it in the homes. They could go to dispensaries. They could purchase it. So it's all different that way. But as far as CPS, I had very little to do with CPS except for we played security if we had to go to a resident or something, and police officers were there just to avoid any kind of confrontation.
Right.
You want to know why? Because police officers back in your day are nothing like the police officers now. The good cops, you all retired. That's the problem. You all retired. Your good cops retired. Now we got these kids that just They just think that they're going to rule the world.
Yeah.
But those kids that are going to rule the world, they have camcorders. They have to answer for every move they make and every step they
I
take.
I got into a little bit of an argument with you about that last night, and I'm so sorry I did that. But you have to seem to understand. I don't understand why you're so naive about what is going on now. It's not the body cams. Body cams aren't nothing. Nothing. They're still going to protect. It's a brotherhood. You know that. They're still going to protect one another.
I do. I know that. I know that. But I'm looking at it from the perspective of when something breaks out. You have your attorney, and you say you get arrested. Your attorney could demand to see the body cam.
Mhm.
But that
And
doesn't
if,
happen.
And let's say the police officer
But that
officer
doesn't.
didn't turn on his body cam. He's in trouble right there.
Yeah, I do know that they will still get in trouble for not having their body cam on when they're supposed to. But when they do have something
Yeah.
on that body cam and they did something wrong, when you have an area like where I live, they're all going to back one another and they're all going to cover
Mhm.
for one another. It's not like you think it is. It's
No, no.
not.
You see, you're from a small town, right? It's a small.
Yeah,
You don't have to say the name of your town, but you have a small town. I'm dealing with large population,
right.
so
Mhm.
it's not the same thing. And
It is in the
large
small
population.
towns.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
I'm going to give you. I didn't work for New York City. I worked for New York State.
Mhm.
But I'll tell you
Okay.
what. In New York City, before a lot of people start retiring and stuff, they had in excess of 40,000 police officers. There's no way 40,000 police officers could get together in cahoots with each other.
Right. Right.
Now I believe they're down to like 29,000 police officers, and even that's a lot. Whereas
Right.
small towns like yours, you may have what, 40 police officers,
Oh,
30 police
probably not
officers,
even.
or less.
Right.
Yeah, for county. For
Mhm.
county.
Oh, for the county, yeah, yeah. So you got like 25, 30 police officers.
Right. They're all working.
I can see where they could all get in cahoots.
Mhm.
And per shift, if you have 3 shifts, you may have 4 officers, 5 officers per shift.
Right,
Mhm.
you are correct.
Yeah,
That,
that makes a big difference.
in the small town, they usually have maybe 2 or 3.
Right. And then you got to,
Yeah, they all know each other. Everybody knows everybody.
Right.
and it's going to be the way that they want it, and that's it. And if you're there catching hell, if you're there living hell up, and they don't like you, you don't stand a chance. They're coming for
Oh
you.
yeah, I raise.
Right.
Yeah, nobody's got anything nice to say about me in my county or town. I raise so much hell about my children; they don't have nothing nice to say. Not at all.
Yeah,
Right.
we talked about your children last night. So where does it stand now? Where are we at with that conversation with your children? And where does it stand now? Where are you in this whole process with your children?
Well, I have now been blocked out completely from everybody in my town and my county. I cannot send in one more email out, and I cannot send one more text message out, or they're going to start putting charges on me. I have demanded them through this Texas Supreme Court, through a cease and desist order on a federal writ, that they return my children to me, and they are not doing the writ. So every time the new writ comes out with new charges, I would email it to them, or like my mother, text message it to them. And my mother only has my children on a guardianship, and I have not seen my disabled child since May 16th of 2023. And I have not seen my 17-year-old daughter since Mother's Day of 2021. My mom never followed any of the custody order or anything, and she's in contempt of court right now, and the court won't back me at all. I can't even go into the court. There's no attorney over here. There's nobody to help. I gotta have $6,000 to $12,000. I don't have that. I get $800 a month.
Mm-hmm. And this is the thing. This is not just you though, Wendy, right? This is every family out there that CPS is attacking. They do it. They get to these families that are just well enough off so that their lives aren't bad. But when you put in that you need to have a $12,000 retainer fee on an attorney, like you got to make that choice between medicine or medicine or the lawyer. You got to take the
No,
medicine
it's
because you're
not
going to die.
medicine. No, it's not medicine or the lawyer. It's rent or a lawyer.
Right. right, or whatever it is, but you're forced to make a choice between something that is predominantly important in your life. It's not like you're saying I'm going to go smoke weed and not get a lawyer. You're sitting there like, I can't have a place to live if I get this attorney. Like
I
that's it, and
sold
that's not
my,
fair.
the state bought me a brand new wheelchair ramp. And when they caught the charges, when they put the charges on me for interfering with custody, I had to sell my wheelchair ramp to pay for the attorney. Then the attorney took my money. When I walked out of the courtroom, the judge looked at my attorney and said, "Tell Todd." Todd, I said, "Hi." Todd Gildy is the attorney that did the original case with my mother, and the
Mhm.
law firm didn't tell me that he worked for the law firm until after I paid them. And they promised to get the charges thrown out of court because they jumped counties on a civil matter, and I ended up taking a charge that I didn't deserve.
Mhm.
And now I have to climb in and out of my camper.
Mm.
I had
And this
Abby
is
here. I had her here. The judge wouldn't give me anything for it. Every time I called my mom to try to get something for Abigail, she would never give me nothing for her. It was just, she had somebody put something, I had a brand new fuel system I put in my truck. I mean, I have a 99, so we had to go through and we changed the tank, we changed the filter, we changed the pump, we changed all the lines. My mom was the only one that knew that I had that done, and she had somebody put something in my gas tank so I couldn't take Abigail back and forth to school where I lived, so I would
Mhm.
lose her. It was
What I don't
horrible.
understand is why is your mom fighting you?
My mother was 15 years old when she had me, and my mom didn't want me. I was born into a family that didn't want me, and I was reminded of it my whole life. And she has made it her life to make me miserable. She has alienated me from my family, my grandmother. My father is dying of Agent Orange. I haven't seen my father in 2 years. And I'm not one of them moms that just could go out and have babies. When I was with my first husband, I spent over $35,000 trying to have kids. Worst thing I did was come back home to my mom. I should have just stayed where I was. And it's all over money. It's all over money. She emptied out my father's checking account. It had $20,000 in it. The
What
savings
what
account,
made
or
you
this check, it
what
just
made
is
you
horrible.
what made you feel comfortable to come back to your mom knowing how she is, other than the love for your mom, thinking she would
She was,
change?
it took me so long to have kids, and I didn't have nobody, and I wanted my mom. And I talked to my mom, and we squashed everything supposedly. If I was abusing my kids, why did my mom do this before I went into the hospital, or why I was in there for 3 years? Why did she wait till I come home and I was taking the income out of the house? She's
So
paying my grandmother's rent right now with my daughter's Social Security. As my daughter sits at a table and gets no intervention. My daughter's going to have to live in a nursing home when she turns 18 if something happens to me. I'm not a young mom. I have to make sure Abby's okay before I go. That's why God gave her to me, because He knew I would make sure she would be what she's supposed to be.
yes, but your mom led you to believe it was okay to come home.
Yeah, she was a
What
great grandmother, and she was my best friend. And I kept having children's services called on me. They kept coming to my door, and I never did anything wrong because I never partied or anything. I was a single mom trying to take care of my kids and a disabled daughter. I didn't have time for nothing else. And I kept having children's services come in, and every time they found it, that there was nothing going on, nothing going. I even caught a felony in 2011 for selling Percocets to an undercover cop to get Abby to the neurologist because Abby has seizures that don't stop. And Children's Services even come in, and I told Children's Services why I did it, and I wasn't ashamed of what I did. And they never took the kids then. I spent 45 days in jail. They never took them then. I go into the hospital for 3 years, and my mom says I'm not doing a job. I'm in physical therapy. I laid in a bed for 3 years.
Now, what was your injury that led to that? That led you into the hospital for 3 years?
I went in for a knee replacement surgery, and I have a magnesium deficiency, which they're finding out has to do with people's immune system. And I had a nickel allergy, and they put a nickel knee in my leg and didn't catch it until I went completely septus.
Wow. Holy smokes. Now,
I
what did
almost died.
CPS do then?
Nothing. My mom was just taking care of the girls, and CPS wasn't even involved. That's what I'm saying. CPS was never involved until I come home.
Mhm.
And I got well enough to take the girls out of the home and restart our lives. And then I don't know who told her to try to have a court date behind my back, which I found out about it. My mom's a Southern woman. She likes to talk. She told the wrong person. And then I found out that she had a home visit that was court ordered through the court to come to my mom's home and do a home visit while I still had custody of my children while I was at physical therapy without my permission or my knowledge. That's against the law.
Mhm.
Whoa. So you were at physical therapy. Your kids are at your mom's house. CPS went to your mom's house to do a
Because the
wellness
kids were
check.
there. We were all living there. We were all there. We were living with my mother.
Okay. So somebody called CPS to do a wellness check.
My mother called CPS
Your mother called CPS to do a wellness check on herself.
No, my mother didn't. My mother called CPS and told them that I was neglecting the children.
Oh boy.
And when I went into court, they never pulled none of my medical records. They never gave me an attorney. They never did anything. They decided right there by the recommendation of the worker. And to this day, they still won't let me know who that worker is. I don't have a case file. I don't have a court paper. They won't let me have nothing.
And that's
Because
against
they
the
know
rules,
what
the
they
rules of
did.
discovery or the rules
Correct.
of discovery.
Correct. And the lawyer that helped me with that I hired won't even give me a copy of my case file. So what does that tell you?
Wow. Now, Darren, do you think Melissa can give us some pointers on how she can at least touch bases with CPS?
I talk to Melissa on a daily basis.
Yeah, they got
okay.
nothing.
Okay.
They tried everything. I mean, this is just. What about the ADA? How much help does the ADA give you?
What are you talking about? I don't.
Disabilities?
They won't. Nobody will do anything in Ohio. Ohio is one of the top three most corrupt states in the United States. Governor DeWine is working for the government to traffic our children through CPS. He knows what's going on. Susan Rowe knows what's going on. Marcy Kaptur knows what's going on. Derek Marin, if he doesn't, if Trump doesn't stop endorsing him, he is a pedophile. Derek Marin is a pedophile. And that's what angers me because I support Trump. It's better than what we got in there now. But these people, like he supports this guy, and everybody that he's supporting is people who are involved in it.
Yeah, but this thing's so big.
That angers me. And if you guys don't think that Trump's not in the Illuminati, you guys are stupid. When he sits down and you see him sitting, look at his hands. He has a triangle in his hands when he sits. He is all a shit show. It's a big shit show. Nothing's going to get done. We're not going to have a big deportation. He's our savior. No, it's not going to happen. Trump is to lead us into the new world order, and it is predicted. He has a new he has a new campaign commercial out. Look at it. It's exactly what's predicted in the Bible. Trump is going to lead us into the new world order. He is not here to save us. I'm sorry.
So do you think
Well,
Trump is trying to be a dictator?
Yes, I want to go live in Poland, and I want to go live. I would rather go live in with Putin and in Poland than what we got going on right now. You're safer there. Poland, there's no crime, there's no poverty, there's nothing, nothing. It's in the ones that are all involved in the elites. Saudi Arabia, India, uh, the United States. I mean, you got China, you got North Korea. They're all involved in the sex trafficking. All of them.
hmm
Every single one of them. That's why
right.
I
But we're
told you guys
talking
a
about
long time ago.
what we were talking about though, like, Wendy. Like we're talking about helping you right now, like you personally. Let's put all this other shit aside. We can't deal with that right now. That's a bigger problem
I
than all of us.
I
But
well,
like,
there's
for instance,
I don't have Darren. I'm stuck with my kids right now. There's nothing I
right?
can do.
Okay, but you have a family full of disabled people. This is what the ADA is for.
They
You need
won't
to
help. I've
remember
been
about
calling
that.
them. They won't even call me back. I left
Okay,
message
well,
after
we're gonna.
message
That's
after
another thing
message.
that's on the list then, because we're gonna get to the bottom of this shit with your family because this isn't right. It's not right.
Didn't hurt my
You help
kid.
so many others, and you help so many others that this isn't right. That this is going on to you. This is not right. So, if you help everybody else, someone needs to help you. That's just the way it is. We need to get to the bottom
I'm
of this.
hoping I get. I hope a miracle happens. I pray all
Do
the
you
time.
have any relatives in other states?
And let me tell you something. My mom has everybody so gaslighted. I can't even take my kids anywhere.
Can
My
you go
mom
in?
is.
Can
I
you
don't
go in?
trust. I I can go wherever I want. I left Ohio. I'm in Michigan right now.
Okay. Being in Michigan, I remember I'm new to all this. Being in Michigan, can you touch bases with CPS there?
They're just
And
as bad. I have so many cases of families all over Michigan. The only thing that I'm trying to do right now is I need to get a hold of the Attorney General because she is going after CPS cases, but I have to be a resident of Michigan for 6 months before I can do that.
so you're there now in Michigan.
Yeah, I've been here 2 months.
Okay, so you got 4 months to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
My biggest fear, I'm gonna end up marrying Abigail.
You're gonna end up marrying Abigail?
Varying,
Burying Abigail.
Oh, okay. And that's your daughter.
correct. Well, do you have the cops go there and do a wellness check on her?
I have to be careful what I do because there's a swatting law, and it's in every state. If you call a first responder to a place and there's no emergency, they can file charges on you. And I'm afraid. And every time I have called, Abby's told me that my mom said the cops were going to arrest her. And Abby's autistic. So, of course, she's going to believe that.
Mm-hmm.
Can you have another relative call to do a wellness call?
No, I don't want none of my family to do anything because they all run with my mother. I don't trust none of them, and I don't want
Can
anything
you
to do
get
with
a
any of them.
friend? Can you get a friend to do a wellness call because they know your mother?
I can, but the reason why I don't is because my mom scares Abigail.
Okay.
Yeah, link it back to you. Dana Nessel, is that the person you're trying to get in touch with? Is that her name? The Attorney General?
I have
Wendy?
her email.
Is that her
I
though?
have her that Nessie, whatever her name is.
What, Dana Nessel?
Yeah, and I have her personal email address.
Okay.
It's MIAG at Michigan.gov.
MIAG
Yeah.
Michigan.gov. Okay. Okay. MIAG at Michigan.gov.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay,
Well, I
Michigan.
really feel
Okay.
really bad, and I feel sorry for what you're going through, because I think you hit it on the head when you said, depending on social status and stuff, how children are taken away. Because I don't hear ever about children being taken away from people who are, say, doctors, lawyers, or higher status people, or multimillionaires, or less than multimillionaires. I never hear about stories like this.
No.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Never.
Never. No. And if you're going to tell me that they don't neglect their kids, I mean, how many NFL stars and NBA stars and musicians and rock people and all that do you see smoking pot, talking about doing drugs and all this stuff, but yet the person that has a Percocet problem down the street, they're ripping their kids right out of their house. But yet
Yeah.
these
They
athletes
just,
and
they
all these
just,
people,
they just, what they do, they just put an estate lawyer away for that. He had a drug addiction and he took some loans out and he owed the Illuminati or mob, I don't know which yet, I'm still checking it out, some money, so he had to kill his family to save himself.
it's crazy.
Wow.
But this is just, this thing doesn't, if you this thing doesn't stop at anything. The number one way that you can get any person is to go after their family, you go after their children, you go after this. So I've talking to police officers. My brother is in a good status position where I'm at, but he doesn't dare help me because he doesn't want this to attack him in his career. He's talked to police
Yep.
officers in this situation. The police officers say that they won't get involved because they're worried that CPS will come after their kids. I mean, these people run this fear wave around everybody, and it's sickening, man. There's like no way to protect yourself, or like it's like you get, if CPS comes into your life at the moment that you think everybody should surround you and help you and fight against them, it's like they abandon their post because everybody's like having a plague. It's like everyone's like, get away from these people because we don't want anything to do with them because we could be next. That's the problem with this. There's no
You
Yeah.
know,
there's no way.
you guys said to me yesterday, um,
Mhm.
I forgot your name, the retired police officer.
Herb.
Herbert.
You want to do something for me?
Yeah.
Call Swanton Police and tell them that Adam, who is now had to resign for discrimination against some of the residents there, he was supposed to investigate my mother with a letter from the IOG for the theft of my Social Security while I was in the hospital. And
Okay.
he told me he would not do it because he did not like my reputation in that town. I need somebody to go over there and investigate my mother
Okay.
for the theft.
What,
If I can
what,
get
what,
them to investigate my mother for the theft, and if they find her at fault, then that'll open up a door for me to cancel the guardianship, and the judge will have no choice.
okay. What you need to do is, Darren, you need to give her offline my
Yep.
number. Have her give me a call,
Okay.
so she and I can talk.
Yep. You can put it in the private chat right here too. You can do that. So you can have that. No, that's a great start. And then I'm going to get in touch with Dana Nessel. I'm going to find out what we can do right there for you, Wendy, and see if we can get something escalated, or see if let her know the situation that we're in Ohio, and see if we can't do something, because I mean, she is the attorney general. So let's see if she can make some moves and do something to escalate. I mean, and then I also want to get a hold of the ADA in Ohio, and I want to find out why the hell they went so long for, not only are you disabled, but your daughter's disabled. And there's a hell of a lot of scrutiny on the ADA right now and how they're defending people. And you guys are definitely people that are made for the ADA to protect. And they definitely were not doing their job here in this position.
No,
They
they won't even
definitely.
call me back. I called the ACLU, everything. Nobody will call me back.
So we need to definitely I'll definitely get in touch with them, and then we'll have Herbert come in and check out this thing here, and we'll try to get something rolling for you. I mean, we're about doing stuff here. Me and Herbert are. We're not about sitting here and just listening to stories, but your story for sure needs answers, and you do so much for so many others. It's time for somebody to do to you. Like that's just the way I see this.
I feel
So.
bad because I feel like I should, I always put myself aside for other people. I just want all these kids to come home.
That's what
If
all
you
of us
guys
want.
see what I see and I hear what I hear, I cry for these kids. I pray for these kids.
Mm-hmm.
They're kids. They're
Mm-hmm.
just kids.
Right. And that one motion of stripping them out of the home, that removal process that they do, that's what destroys them. It's that one process. Everything else that goes along with it is it, but it's the
I have,
removal that destroys them
and
for the rest of
it's right. I have a 17-year-old daughter that thinks I was a horrible mother because of the gaslighting and this. I think my kids have Stockholm syndrome. I really do. And how am I going to repair that bond? Because everything that my mom said is in her head. So
it.
now, whenever we try to repair it, she's always going to second guess everything that I've done. And I never wanted that for my kids.
Right.
I
Well,
mean,
Now
where do
your
you even begin?
now your 17-year-old, is she part of the system?
I dropped, I had to give Abby and Annie to my mother when Abby was 5 and Annie was 7, and I haven't had them since because
I guess I don't know the names, but the 17-year-old, she's
Annabelle.
part of the system, right?
Yeah, she's gonna be 18 in May.
Then she'll be finished with the system.
Yeah.
now
But do
Abby's
you
the one
think
that's.
she's gonna drive and come see me? No, she ain't gonna come and see me.
Mhm. How many kids do you have all together that are in this there, Wendy? You said
I
you have.
was I two.
Right.
And I had to lose 267 pounds to have them girls.
And
And when
Abby's the
Abby
one that
was,
has disability, right?
oh my gosh, you guys just don't know what I went through. I carried her 11 months. I
Mm.
was on medication. I was on bed rest. I was, they sewed my cervix shut. And then when she come home, I had big, huge oxygen tanks in my house, and she was connected to all kinds of machines and everything for the first 6 months of her life, and then the seizures started after a year. And now she has seizures so bad that they won't even stop, so she has to immediately go to the hospital. And she's not mentally retarded; she's just high function autistic.
She's the one that's 17.
No, Annabelle's 17.
Oh,
Abby's
okay.
the disabled daughter.
Okay.
Yeah, they're Abby and Annie.
Okay.
I had to be difficult. We
No,
got
you're not difficult.
Abby and Annie.
Abby and Annie. All right.
Yep.
Unbelievable. Well, it looks like we have a game plan for them. So that looks like we got a little game plan to do some work there, Herbert, so we can get this stuff done for Wendy. Because like I said, she goes through enough that we need to give her some help here. I think she needs a
What you
little
got to
bit of help.
do is you got to give Wendy my number when
Yep,
you get a chance.
yep, I will. I will do that, Wendy. I'm going to write that right now for you. Actually, I could put it right here in the private chat. Hey guys, we're at the 5 minute point.
Okay.
It's time to wrap
Well,
this
thank
baby
you
up
for
here.
helping.
No, yeah,
You're
you know
welcome.
what? We haven't even began yet, Wendy. I'm going to put Herbert's number in the private chat right here for you. Um,
Okay.
let's see here. Pull Herbert up here. Herbert, you got any last words that you want to throw out here to people tonight?
No, it's just that I'm learning so much about the child protective system that's like spinning my head around.
It's really and every day it's like there's something new, there's something new, there's something more. It's just crazy, and it gets deeper and deeper and deeper in more areas. And like you think that you got the handle on something, and then something else comes and spins you around, and you're like, holy smokes, man, where did this
What?
even come from? Hits you by the
It,
left field.
Yeah, what really blows my mind is I think I sent you the name of the show. I think it's called The Program. It's on Netflix.
Yeah, I've been watching that too, from the one that
Okay.
Josie has on.
Okay. When I watched the entire program on Netflix, have you seen it, the program on Netflix yet?
No, I
I just
haven't, but I seen it when I was on there the other day.
Okay. When I saw the program on Netflix, what they're doing at that facility where parents are paying $4,000, it's closed. It's been closed. But what their parents were paying $4,000 to get help for that facility to help their children. It's like you haven't done a thing to your child to require them to go through what they're going through.
Right.
That facility should have been locked down a long time ago.
Yeah, and that was
I mean,
voluntary.
they were really abusing, total abuse to the children, total abuse. And parents are paying $4,000 and they have no clue what's going on in there.
Watch What About Maya on Netflix.
Oh, I saw that one already. Yeah, I saw Meyer. I introduced Darren and everybody to Meyer.
Yeah,
Hey,
that was
Jeff.
from her.
You know,
That's
Thank you.
scenarios. That's
Thank
scenarios.
you.
This one called The Program. It makes Meyer look like a I don't know, infant care center movie.
Yeah,
It's like
absolutely.
Meyer's nothing in comparison to this one. And there's also another one out on Prime. I'm trying to think of the name of it. I watched that one last night, and I couldn't believe what was going on at that facility. And I'm like, where's CPS?
Right. Exactly.
And it's not the
When
parents.
are they going to come in? When are they going to come and do something about all of these things that are accepted?
Yeah, I don't get it.
This information on a stick, and there's no one doing a thing.
By the way, the one on the one on Prime is called Last Stop.
Last Stop.
It's called The Last Stop, and it's on Prime.
Okay.
And I was blown away. I was watching this, and I'm like, yeah, but where's CPS? These people are totally abusing these kids, and I'm like, where's CPS?
It's just absolutely disgusting that this is going on. There's so many doorways and everything opened up to this stuff, and no one is still doing anything. Not
Now,
doing a
mind
damn
you, these
thing.
facilities are not functioning anymore. They're not functioning. But when they were functioning, where was CPS?
Yep.
But take a look at those shows, those two shows I just gave you. The one on Netflix, The Program on Netflix, and The Last Stop on Prime. And you'll be scratching your head because the people, it's a documentary. It's a documentary, and the people who were there are adults. They probably have children now, but they're talking about their experiences. They're talking about their experiences when they were there.
Oh wow! I just found something really great. I'm going to share this with you after the.
Actually, if it
after the
wasn't
show
for you
here,
guys, I would not have even watched either of these shows. I would have just skip over and look at some other shoot 'em up bang bang show. But I was like in awe.
It's crazy, right? It's just crazy. The more you look for the information, the more you find, and everything else. This is
What's this number that I had that you guys sent? What is that?
That's my number, Pop.
Okay.
Right there.
I just wanted to make sure.
All right, guys.
Yep.
All right, guys. That's we got to wrap. That's it. That's the end of the night for us.
I love you guys.
Thank you so much, Wendy, for being on and telling us your story. That's great. Herbert, thank you so much for being who you are. You're the law enforcement man, getting things done around here. And I'm the CPS Punisher, and I'm getting out of here. I ain't got no last words tonight. We just got to get this thing done.
When I lied, my kid was kidnapped. He was all for the cash, a foster kid, child ring. Man, I swear it's all bad, my kid was kidnapped. He was all for the cash, my kid was kidnapped. He was all for the cash, my kid was kidnapped. They was taken with lies.
It started with the way I look, progressed to how I carried it. They couldn't stand a man like me, could understand
what marriage is. Providing for my wife and kids the way that I inherited. Mama raised a man that don't know nothing but to care the kids. How can they just come and take what's mine and I ain't caught a case? Never held a CPS, but still my rights were stripped away. Fighting for my right to parent cause I got tats upon my face. See through all your blatant lies, I be the one y'all love to hate. It's wrong what y'all out here doing, lying, taking people's kids. Breaking up a happy home cause y'all don't like the way we live. Long as we providing no abuse, then y'all should mind your business. I met with my right to live, you press release my kids. Tired, I can take it, this is real and I'ma bear it all. Lawyers, they appointed me, never even took my calls. They falsify my drug screens, flat out lied and that ain't all. This whole case a cover up and they ain't gotta follow laws. Kidnapped,
they was taken with lies. CPS telling stories trying to ruin our lives. My kids was kidnapped, it was all for the cash. I'm foster kid, child rape, man, I swear it's all bad. My kid kidnapped, they was taken with lies. CPS telling stories trying to ruin our lives. My kids was kidnapped, it was all for the cash. I'm foster kid, child rape, man, I swear it's all bad. My kids was kidnapped, they was taken with lies. CPS telling stories trying to ruin our lives. My kids was kidnapped, it was all for the cash. I'm foster kid, child rape, man, I swear it's all bad. My kids was kidnapped.
Tonight for help, come on tell me, do y'all feel my pain? Watch my wife cry herself to sleep and I can do a thing. On the verge of losing it, swear I'm about to go insane. Praying that I have the strength to make it through another day. Can't begin to understand all the stuff my kids go through. The pain they feel or what they think for real, it's hard to bear the truth. Snatched away, placed with strangers, broke me when I heard the news. Rotting in the prison cell for something I ain't even do. The fight is real and we won't stop till all our kids is coming home. Playing games but they ain't know they dealing with the King of Thrones. Lawyered up, got a pit bull, yeah, now it's really on. He did take my family back and trust me, we don't stand alone. This right here's for everyone who going what we going through. Be the voice for all of y'all, the pain you feel, I feel it too. This is wrong, it's time for change, pushing hard to make the news. Austin, Trinity, Kiara, Bella, Hope, Cam, this one's for you. Kidnapped. this song is for all of us facing the struggle. Our kids are being taken with lies and corruption. It's not just happening to me, it's happening to everyone all across this nation. I've seen it firsthand, I've read your stories, your letters, emails, I've read reports, actual findings. Seen it happening to my family, my friends, strangers. We are parents and we're losing our rights based on lies that are being fed to the court. TCF and all these agencies use our kids to keep themselves in business, create false scenarios, change the evidence, pay towards, lie under oath. This is